Hi everybody and welcome to World Storytelling Cafe. This evening Sue and Mark will be helping us to make the very most of our hats and hopefully we'll be enjoying some hat themed stories with them both. So I'll hand over straight away to our wonderful storytelling gang for this evening, Sue and Mark. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm just gonna, so you can see just us on your screen now, I believe, but we've actually got you on gallery view, so we can actually see all of you that are in the room at the moment, which is fantastic.
And
hello, welcome. So before we start, just an invitation to, there's going to be some interaction. Hi, John. Hello. John joining us there. Jane. Fantastic. So we're going to be doing some interactive stuff during the session, so do feel free if you want to leave yourself unmuted so that you can join in with the interaction and make some noise, and we can see you all as well because we've got you on gallery view. Then do feel free to leave yourself unmuted. If you know there's going to be lots of noisy stuff going on in the background, dogs barking, I don't know, people farting, whatever, then do feel free to go on mute if you like, and then unmute for the joining in bits of what you want to do. So yeah, it's really lovely to be here. Fantastic. So yeah, I'm Sue. Hello. It's lovely to be back at the World Storytelling Cafe. Yeah. Great to see you here. So I am joined by the elusive Mark Scott Ison. Elusive. In fact, you know what? I'm just gonna rename us on Zoom here so that we're all here together. So we've got Sue and Mark, and we also have another person on our sofa. Please don't be alarmed, by the way, that Mark's sitting next to me on the sofa. He is part of our support bubble. That's why it's okay to be support bubble.
Nice.
Yeah. We're all bubbling together. Yeah. So yeah, Mark and my daughter Althea, who's also going to tell a story tonight. So yeah, the elusive Mark, who has neither Wi-Fi nor smartphone. Very clever man. So actually is a complete Zoom virgin. Ooh. So we're going to be gentle with him, but I can tell just by seeing it, I can tell that he's feeling ever so slightly weirded out. The little people in the little boxes, and anyone else that's watching on Facebook or YouTube. Hello.
Why can't you see them then?
We can't see them because they're not in the room with you. They're not in the room. It's all right. I'll explain it to you later. Yeah.
So it's all right, Mark. Don't worry.
Actually, it's okay.
It all seems a bit weird, though, isn't it? I mean, that's me.
I've been living in this weirdness for 3 months, and it's no different from some of the strangest you find on the strangest of festival fields.
Oh, is that right?
Just a different reality.
Oh, that's good to know.
A different reality. I would also.
Different reality.
I think it's also worth pointing out that actually Mark and John are looking. If Mark had his glasses on, they would be like twins tonight. It's like a beardy reunion.
It is.
Fantastic.
Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm very well, John.
See, he's getting it already. That's brilliant. Okay, so it's really nice to see that you're wearing your lovely hats. You're all looking fabulous. Now I can see some of you aren't wearing hats, and that's absolutely fine. If you've turned up without a hat because you've forgotten that there was an invitation to wear a hat, then do feel free to nip off and get a hat. But we won't judge you if you don't. So that's hat, no hat, whatever you feel comfortable in. I'm wearing this one, but it's actually really itchy. So I don't have.
I'm going to swap my hat.
You can swap your hat. Who are you gonna swap it with? I think Kerry's hat's rather nice. Maybe you can swap with her. Or Sarah, maybe. Should we do some storytelling then?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with the.
I'm back. I have a different hat. I have.
Yeah.
I've got my lap hat.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's much more suitable.
That's it.
That is, and there are, and honestly, and I have to say, you can't see, but if at some point you go to gallery view, at some point during the session, so you can see Janice Fairweather's hat. Actually, can we just spotlight Janice for a minute? Janice's hat. Can we do that? Because Janice does look absolutely fabulous with that hat on her. It's just like it's amazing. Janice's hat. Can we see Janice's hat? Can everybody see it?
I see John.
There.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that is a proper hat.
I mean, that
That's
just takes the
fantastic.
biscuit. And what I like about that, if you're feeling quite shy, you can just turn, can't you? And
Yeah.
just, you know, just sort of shrink into the foliage. Good effort. Nice one. Thank you. Brilliant. Right, so should we tell some stories?
Go on, yeah.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to start off with I ended up agreeing to do this because I did mention on a sort of Facebook Messenger thread that I knew a story about monkeys and hats, and then Sarah, in her ever persuasive way, said, "Oh, will you do a session about hats?" So here we are. So I found a few more as well, but I'm going to start off with the story where it began with me, the only story that I knew about hats until this week, and it's a story about a man who made hats, hat maker, a milliner, if you will, who made all kinds of hats, marvelous hats. He made trilby hats and pork pie hats. He made beautiful rainbow wide-brimmed hats like the one that Kerry Kwiatkowska is wearing there. He brought lovely kind of feathered hats like Janice's hat, and the beautiful sparkling little white berets like Bianca's hat there, and gorgeous concoctions with ostrich feathers on like Sarah Corbett's hat there, and hats like this. All kinds of hats, spotty hats and stripy hats, bobbly hats and woolly hats and silky hats and tweed hat, every kind of hat you could possibly imagine. Now, what he would do, this hat maker, is once he had enough hats ready to go and sell at the market, he would load them all up on his trolley, and then he would make his way to the market, and people would come from miles around to buy his magnificent hats. Now, it just happened on one day that he ended up waking up late. We've all done it, haven't we? You know, we've got somewhere to be and we wake up late, you know, maybe we've pulled a bit of an all-nighter. And anyway, he missed his alarm. He woke up late. He said, "Oh no, I've got to get to market." You know, he needs to be at market in time, because if he doesn't get there on time, then he won't get his pitch. He won't be able to sell his hats. And if he doesn't sell any hats, well, then there's not going to be any money for food or for wood for the fire. And so anyway, he piles all of his hats. He had hats like this, and hats like yours, and hats like yours, and hats like yours. And he put them all onto his trolley, and he started to make his way to the market. But he realised, actually, if he was going to go on the main road, he actually wasn't going to make it on time. So he thought, right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the shortcut through the forest. And so he took the shortcut through the forest with his trolley. Now, as he's going through the forest with his trolley, going through the trolley with his forest, whatever you prefer, really, he's pushing it along. It's got a little squeaky wobbly wheel, so he's pushing it, and it's going squeak, squeak, wobble. Wobble. Squeak, squeak, wobble. How's it going?
Squeak, squeak, wobble. Squeak, 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 wobble.
It's exactly as if you were there when it was happening. That's amazing.
Isn't it?
It's uncanny.
Oh,
so he's squeaking, and he's wobbling, and he's running through the forest. And squeak, squeak, wobble, run, squeak, squeak, wobble, squeak, squeak, wobble. And then he hit the root of a tree, and his trolley tipped over, and all of the hats were scattered everywhere. The spotty ones, the stripy ones, the woolly ones, the ones like yours, the one like yours, the ones like yours. And they went all over the forest floor. Now, unknown to the hat maker, there were monkeys up in the trees, and they were watching everything that was going on. And before the hat maker had even a moment to reach down and grab his hats and put them back on his squeaky wobbly trolley, the monkeys, they came down quicker than that, quicker than thought. They came down the trees, and they, all of them, grabbed those hats and they put them on their heads. Monkeys with hats on their heads.
Wow.
It looks a bit like this. And they ran back, they scampered back up into the branches of the trees, and they looked down, all these monkeys, and there's monkeys with top hats, and there's monkeys with bowler hats, and monkeys with trilbies, and monkeys with bobble hats, and they're all looking down like that. And they're making fun of the hat maker, as if they were saying in their monkey words, "We've got your hat, we've got your hat." I think I need a little bit of monkey ambiance here. Can you have a bit of?
We've got your hats. We've got your hats.
Oh, and the hat maker, he was so cross. He was so cross, because it's like, know, it's like monkeys have just got that way of just making you feel like an absolute chump. You know, when a monkey starts taking the mickey, it's like, oh, you just feel such a fool, and you feel so cross with those monkeys. And he was so cross with those monkeys, and so he starts shaking his fists like that. It's going like this to the monkeys. Can you join it? Can you do a bit of quite cathartic? You know, get a bit of aggression like this. Now, has anybody ever heard of the phrase "monkey see, monkey do"?
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's a phrase that they often peddle out when they're talking about the education of children. And I don't know if anyone else here has got parents that used to say, "Do as I say, don't do as I do."
As I do.
But you know what they say, monkey see, monkey do. And so it is with actual monkeys. When the monkeys saw the hat maker going, "Arr," what do you think the monkeys did? They all went, they were loving it. Oh, and that made the man even more cross. And so he started stamping his feet like this, stamping his feet on the forest floor. Well, of course, as soon as he started doing that, monkey see, monkey do. So what did the monkey start doing? Oh, the man was so cross. He was so cross, and he just wanted to have his hats back, and he just wanted to get to the market, and he just wanted to stop these monkeys taking the mick. And then he had an idea. Monkey see, monkey do. And so he took off his hat and he threw it in a rage down on the forest floor. You can do this. You can join in with this bit if you like. And he took off his hat and he threw it down on the ground. And of course, all the monkeys, they took off their hats and they threw them down on the ground. And the man gathered up all the hats and he put them back on the trolley and he made his way to the market. Squeak, squeak, wobble. Squeak, squeak, wobble.
Squeak, squeak, the
All the way to the market. And when he got there, well, he didn't sell quite as many hats because he didn't get quite such a good pitch because he was a little bit late after all his dealings with all those monkeys. But that night when he got home, first thing he did was he fixed that wheel and he put some oil into that wheel. So from now on, every time he's late and he has to go through the forest, he goes through very, very carefully. And instead of going, squeak, squeak, wobble, squeak, wobble.
Here is my hat.
Wobble. Instead of doing that, the trolley just goes. And the man goes very quietly so he doesn't disturb the monkeys.
Whoa. Can I come in with a little true monkey story?
Oh, please do, John. Yeah.
Well, Nick Toxic, who's one of the poets on the site, he was touring in Southeast Asia, and he always eats at the back of stalls and sort of because you get back, he goes to the workers' cafes when he's touring, and he was in this place, and the monkeys there were stealing from the tourists. They were taking cameras and hats and whatever, but they'd worked out a method where they took them to the stalls and exchanged them for fruit. And they knew exactly how much a camera was worth a mango, a hat was worth this, and there was a whole barter system. And then people would come to the stalls to buy a replacement for the camera that they'd just had stolen, and they'd sell them the stuff that had been put on the stall the day before. Magnificent. There was a whole economy of that village run by monkeys.
Wow. they're like the ultimate entrepreneurs, aren't they?
Yeah, wonderful.
That's amazing. Fantastic. Thanks for that, John.
I just thought I'd drop that little bit of nonsense in.
That's lovely. We love a bit of nonsense. Right, who's going? Is it you going next? Here?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to do a little jiffle over. So Althea's going to come in here. She's going to tell you a story. There we go.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen Miss Althea Broughton Squire.
Hello. This is a story that I made up on the way home from school today. I hope you like it. Once upon a time, there was a young woman who lived in the countryside, and one day she was going for a walk to go to the woods, and then on her way she bumped into an old lady, and the old lady said, "Hello, my dear, I've got something for you." And the young woman said, "What?" And the old lady pulled out a hat from her handbag and said, You take this home and remember to keep it safe." And the young woman said, "I can't. You keep it." And the old woman said, "Take it. I want you to take it." So the young woman, she took the hat and gave some lovely strawberries to the old woman to say thank you. And then she went back to her house, and that night she saw the hat wobble and vanish, and suddenly it appeared on her bed. But she was so tired that she just fell straight asleep. And the next morning she put the hat on, but something was inside it, and it was a little box. And she opened up the box, and there was a little golden plant, and there was also a little note, and it said, "This plant, when you bury it in the ground, it will grow into a really, really, really big plant, and up it will go, and then you when you climb up it, you'll be in another world, which will have a lovely campsite and a and a woodland with a clear running stream." So the young woman ran outside and buried it in her garden. And the next morning, she went outside, and there was a huge plant in front of her, and she climbed up it, and it took her about 5 minutes. And when she got up, she reached the campsite, and it had a little camper van in it, and she went in, and it had lovely fairy lights and a little cozy bed and a little cozy kitchen. and then when she went outside, and she went into the woodland, and she saw the fresh running stream, and she just jumped in straight away. And then she was just swimming and swimming when she found a little golden flower, and then words suddenly appeared on it, and it said, "This flower will help you through life if anything gets hard." And she treasured that flower all her life, and and she always went up the plant. She always climbed up the plant into the other world.
Whoa.
Hey! Wow! Okay, and that's lovely. Thank you.
Fantastic. Next generation of storytellers.
Yeah, I know, we're all retiring. We're all retiring. There's some good parenting gone on there. I
we're
wonder
all
where you got all that
retiring.
campsite stuff from, Elsia.
I have no idea.
We will share a campsite together next year.
We will.
I'm in.
Wonderful.
We will.
Oh.
Sue.
Oh, did somebody say?
Hi, Sue. It's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
When you said you were going to do a story about monkeys,
Uh-huh.
I've
Yeah.
went
Oh.
and found this picture for you.
Oh. That's really lovely.
This is Yasmina, who my daughter saved from being a performing monkey in Marrakesh and looked after her till she was big enough to release into almost wild out near the waterfalls in the countryside. But I've got some good monkey stories for one day around the fire next to the camper van.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
With the fairy lights.
With the fairy lights and the cozy bed.
Oh, yeah, that.
But when it comes to really naughty pets, my friend Barbara's here and she could tell a story too. But back to you, Sue.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for that, Sarah. Brilliant. I think it's time we introduced Mark to the screen, don't you? Mark's just, we're gonna do another little shuffle. Wait a minute, we're just gonna bear with. Just gonna get Mark in the centre here. Oh, there we go. He's trying to get his leg over.
It's not easy. I've done that for a long time.
There we go.
I love
Family show, Mark. Family show.
Marvellous, yes, of course. Yes. Marvellous. Well, here we are then. Can I start now?
Yes.
Well, I think are they ready for you?
I don't, are you ready for me?
Are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, ready for this?
I'm just going to let
Well,
some
here we
people
go
know
then.
you're on.
Right, now I'm Norman the Gnome.
I know you're Norman.
Yes. I've lived in the same road, Happiness Road it's called. It's lovely. And I've lived there for, I don't know, 40 years, 50 years, I don't know. A long, long time I have. And I've just watched the world go by. Not the whole world go by, just a bit of the world that goes by my house, you see. And I had a fishing rod like that. I had a fishing rod for many, many years. And I love my fishing rod. Now, I didn't have a pond. I couldn't catch fish. There's no rivers, no sea. But, you know, I was a gnome with a fishing rod. That's what happens sometimes. You know, when you're a gnome, they give you certain things, and that's what you're stuck with. And I had a fishing rod. But I didn't notice. But one morning I woke up and I noticed I had nothing in my hand. It had disappeared completely. I had no awareness of losing it. I can't go anywhere. I'm a gnome. But it just suddenly disappeared. And I was really confused. Now, just sat next to me this way, not Alfie, I don't mean, but there is another gnome. And he is called Henry Gnome. Henry Gnome. Nice, isn't it, Henry? Do you want to meet Henry?
Yeah.
Good, we're going to meet him then. Can we have Henry Gnome, please? There you are. Marvellous. Right, backstage. Alfie is backstage as well. Hello, I'm Henry. I'm Henry Gnome. Now, I'll tell you what, I do have a pond and I do have fish. I've got wonderful. I'm only about 3 years old, you see. I haven't been here very long at all, but I got everything. And he's got nothing. He's got nothing. I got it all. I've never had a fishing rod. I don't want a fishing rod. Don't want one. If I want a fish, I can just put my hand in and get it and eat it and bite his head off. It's fine. It's all right. Now, he keeps going on and saying he's lost his rod. Well, I said you should know what happened to it. He said, I don't know what happened to it. He said, what we need now is a detective. Have we got a detective there? It will be. Not perhaps it. Oh, hello, I'm a detective, I am. I know I sound maybe not like to, but, you know, that's life, isn't it? Right, so I can detect and see what happened and how Norman lost his gnome. Not lost his gnome, he is a gnome. What am I talking about? He never lost his gnome. He wished he lost this gnome, but anyway, he didn't. But yeah, so I'm going to interview the whole road. So I'm going to go next door, knock on the door next door, and see if they know anything about the rod. So knock, knock, knock. Who's next then? It's exciting, isn't it? Hello. It's Sydney here. Sydney the hippie. Yeah, Sydney the hippie. Yeah. These are lovely names, you know. They're great names. I do like them, I do. But Norman's lost his rod, you see. And he said to me, he said, Sydney, have you seen it? Have you seen the rod? I said, I haven't seen a rod. I'm a hippie. What do I want with the rod? I don't want one. I don't want to know. I don't know. Ask next door. Go and ask next door. Who lives next door? What's his name?
Somebody say a name. Anyone?
Vladimir.
Vladimir. There we go.
Vladimir. My name is Vladimir, and that's a tough accent. My name is Vladimir, and I live next door to the other two. And I don't know the gnomes as well as they do, so I don't know quite so close. But I do know that Norman keeps going on about losing his rod. And I haven't seen it. I haven't, honestly. It's nothing to do with me at all. I think what we should do is ask next door. Who's next door? I wonder who next door. I wonder.
It's very exciting.
Oh, it's Florence. Look, it's Florence. Hello, I'm Florence. I am. Yeah, my name's Florence. It's really funny, actually, talking about fishing rods, because I've got a whole big collection of fishing rods. I've been collecting them for years. I've got about 251. But I don't have his rod. I really, honestly, I haven't got his rod at all. I haven't. And I really feel sorry for him, because I'd hate it if I lost one of my rods and I got 250. So let's ask next door. Who's next door? Hey, hello. I'm Emily.
Are you in Coronation Street?
Yes. Oh, have you seen me before? Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I didn't realise I was famous. Isn't that nice? No, I do like Norman. I could have been stuck on him, actually, but it doesn't do it for me without the rod. It was something about holding that rod that made me think that, you know, there's some rigidity. Is that the word? I don't know.
Yeah, I bet.
Is that a word? Yes.
Yes.
And we're going to see next. Is anyone else next door? I can't remember. I don't know how many hats I've got. Oh, yes. And what's his name?
Bob.
Hello, my name's Bob. I used to have a goldfish called Bob as well. He used to go around, he would swim round and go, Bob. Anyway, I don't know nothing about fishing rods at all, so I move on. Is there another person? Is there? Oh, is there another person there? Oh, yeah. Hello, my name is Sydney too. Yeah, we're sort of friends. Us at Sydney, we go out on a night and have a few pints of lager. That's quite nice. What about fishing rod? Well, I don't know really. I don't know much about him at all. I know there's two gnomes there, and I know they don't like each other very much. And I know the one we met at is a newer one, isn't he? And the other one's been there for donkey's years. But I don't know nothing about no rod. No asking me. Is anyone else to ask? Oh,
Good
yeah.
thing it's not a cul-de-sac.
My name is Fireman Giles, and I live next to all the other ones, and I drive a tractor to work. I work on a farm, but I keep my tractor inside the garage, and in the morning I get in the tractor, and my farm is about a mile down the road, and I love just chugging my tractor like that, driving it like that. That's how you drive, isn't it? That's how I drive anyway. And I like to be very, very slow. And there's normally loads of people behind me blinking their horns. They're blinking their horns and say, hello, good morning. And when they go really slow, I like to go even slower, just to annoy them. That gets me through the day, really. Who else have we got? I can mention that. I don't care about the one. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Can I just ask, where's your whippet?
Where's my whippet?
You got your flat cat. Where's your whippet?
That's very personal.
Where's your whippet?
Stereotypes here.
Yes.
I can say that. I'm a northerner.
My name is Samuel, and I'm a vicar, and I feel very sorry. No, I do. I feel enormously very, very, very sorry that he's lost his fishing rod, because a fishing rod is such a spectacular thing to have, isn't it? Oh, thank you.
You're a vicar.
Oh, yes, vicar. Yeah. Yes, that's better, isn't it? It doesn't. Does that work? Yes, I'm a vicar. Yes, and so what I would say to you, Norman, is pray to God above, and I'm sure something will happen. The great rod, will come through the sky, maybe. I wouldn't bet on it though. Anyway, who's next?
Bring me my rod.
Bring me my rod. Oh, yeah. Ah, now then, not this one yet. Just hold on to him. Can you give me Norman? Norman, yes. Ah. Hello, it's me again. Oh, is that hello. I know, makes it. Hello, it's me again. Yeah, well, I'm just been following the story and all that. Yeah, one thing I should have mentioned actually, that I've been thinking about my rod. You see, thinking about my rod, and I remember something. I think it might have disappeared in December. Yeah, towards the end of December. I know, that's what I thought. And I remember seeing a little flash of red, and also I could hear some bells ringing. Does that give you any clue? Flash of red, bells ringing. Who might that be?
No. Need more.
Mick Hucknall?
It could be Mick Hucknall. It could be, but I think it's rather a fat guy who wears red and has
still Mick Hucknall.
He's unshaven. Yes, it is Mick Hucknall. Absolutely, that's right. No, I actually think it's the man who comes once a year and delivers presents. I do. I think it's Santa. Should we talk to Santa?
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, you all. Let me just tell you something. Now, I'm a very good chap. I'm a very good chap. Once a year, I deliver all the presents to all the good children. I have a list of naughty children, it's the good children. And on Christmas Eve, me and all the elves chuck all the stuff on the sleigh and that, and we start off with the reindeers. We go off and we go around the world, and we deliver all the nice presents and surprises to the nice children. Now then, you have to be very carefully, because children, if they especially wrote letters to me and said, I want this in particular, you've got to give them some, haven't you? You've got to give it to them. Now, little Bruce was 8 years old. He'd asked for a green fishing rod. I remember putting it on the sleigh, but somewhere along the way, it must have fallen out the sleigh, because when I got to his house, there was no sign of a fishing rod anywhere. And I thought, Then I remember I was on this particular road, and I remember there were two gnomes, one with a green hat, one with a red hat. And one with the green hat looked like he was asleep. So I know I shouldn't have done it. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I took the fishing rod and I actually gave it to Bruce. But what I was going to do is go, when I got home, I thought the first thing I'm going to do is find a nice green fishing rod and go back instantly, because I can freeze time, I can be back instantly, and no one will know. But Mrs. Claus, she said, oh, it's nice to see you back there. A big hug. And she said, would you like a mince pie? I said, yes, please. And she gave me a nice big hot mince pie with brandy in it. And then I had another one, then a cup of tea. And I fell asleep and I woke up and I forgot all about it. And now I feel really bad. But I am really a good person. So the solution to what happened to it was, yes, unfortunately, me, Father Christmas, had nicked it. But I will get them another one and an extra good surprise. Anyway, very nice of you to come and see me. Have a lovely Christmas. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Skyson. Now, I think while we've still got Mark in the centre of the screen here, actually, can you get the hat again to give to Mark?
Oh,
the Father Christmas one. I think just while we've got the two of them here, I think we should just have a little Santa off between Mark and John.
I give 2 seconds. I will go and get the correct headgear.
Yeah, go and get your headgear, John.
While John gets his hat, I'd like to tell you that one year I booked John to be Father Christmas at an event where I said the children had to bring a present to him for a change, so he could take it to a hospice. John turned up in his storytelling gear and said, oh, I've just remembered you wanted Santa. I don't have the costume. Do you think he'll find his hat?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering whether we're going to see John again this evening.
We got creative and he did Santa it up in the end.
Santed it up.
We used a lot of reindeers to mask the fact that he wasn't spot on Santa. We'll ask you next time, Mark. You've got the hat.
With a sort of master of improvisation. And actually, I don't know if some of you might have met Mark as Norman the Gnome before. I know that Andras the Tip Lady has. I don't know if anybody else. And actually, I think Michelle Scott James has seen. And Sarah, you've seen as Norman the Gnome as well, haven't you? So no,
That's Linda, I think, unless she's doing yoga. Otherwise, she's putting her hands up. Could be both.
So yeah, sort of Mark used to do a little bit of moonlighting as Norman the Gnome at the real Halloween and the Fairy Fair, which are both events run by the Fairyland Trust, which is an amazing charity that kind of connects kids with nature. And he would sit there dressed as Norman the Gnome with his bog brush in his hand like it was some kind of magical instrument, which it probably was. Magicking away all the mucky stuff. Oh look, there we go. So we've got John and we've got Mark, and they're all Santed up to the max there. I think we both need to sort of maybe do. I think
in my defense, in Sarah's story, I did have enough red stuff in the car to dress up as a sort of slightly original Father Christmas with red shirt, red top hat, and red trousers, and we got away with it.
We did. At least that year we did.
You brought it. It's like bringing it, isn't it? You just kind of personified the man, and that was, and it just happened.
Cash Santa.
I'm just gonna grab Mark's glasses to just to complete the look there. So I think, should we get John? Can we get a ho 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 from you, John?
Okay. Well, one has to of course do the
belly clapping.
Oh yeah.
Ho ho ho!
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So yeah,
Okay.
Ho 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 from you as well.
Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas! Oh, a bit hard.
I don't know about you. That's pretty close, really. I think I'd be happy, if I went to the local department store to meet the big man. I think I'd be happy to see either of these big men, really.
I think they'd tell you it was for kids if you did, Sue, to be fair.
Say that again?
I think if you did line up to see the big man, they'd probably tell you it's for kids.
Oh, would they?
So that's why she's got Althea.
I can take a kid.
When Althea grows up, you'll have to borrow someone else's.
Yeah, that's right. There's always kids around to borrow. Oh, brilliant. So now that we've done the Santa off, we're just going to do another little shift. I've got one more story for you, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to come back in the middle.
I'll try and slide over.
Okay, it's just one moment. There we go. It's all beautifully, smoothly done.
It is, isn't it?
It's beautifully done. Oh, hello. There we go.
Slick is what we call it.
Beautiful bit of stage management there.
Marvellous.
Look at that. Absolutely seamless, that is, isn't it? Okay. So as I mentioned earlier on, just at the beginning of the session, for anyone that wasn't here, that I ended up doing this session because I think I sort of accidentally mentioned in a Facebook Messenger conversation that I happened to know a story about hats, and then Sarah was like, "Oh, come and do a storytelling session about hats."
Worked out well.
It did work out well, and I didn't know any other stories about hats at all, so I had to find some. So I found this story, which is just simply called "The Hat," and it's from a children's story by a man called Tommy Ungara. I don't know if anybody knows this story. I hadn't come across it before, but I found it, and it's really lovely. And so this is a world premiere of me telling this story. I've never told it before, and there's a couple of little bits of joining in. I've got some little cheat sheets as well for some audience responses there. So I'm just going to start, and we'll just see how it goes. So there was once a hat. It was a bit like this. It was a top hat. Actually, I say it was a bit like this. It was a bit more fancy than this one because it was quite a bit taller, and it had a lovely kind of satin finish on it. and it had a magenta sash around the belt there. It was very, very fine top hat indeed. And it lived quite happily on the head of a very, very rich man, you know, the type of man who would wear a hat such as this. And one day, the rich man was going down the road in an open-top carriage with his fiancée. They were probably going somewhere with some great urgency, probably to the opera or the theatre, when people used to do that sort of thing. Do you remember those days? I don't know, because I never used to go to the opera, but apparently people used to do that sort of thing. And they were going by in their open-top carriage when suddenly, whoo, the hat flew off of the head of the rich man. And the wind blew, and the hat flew. And it flew in hoops and swoops, and it went here, and it went there, and it went hither, and it went thither, and it went yon, wherever that is. And then it landed on the bald head of Benita Badoglio, a penniless old veteran. Now, he was rather surprised when it landed on his head. In fact, he fell to his knees and he said, "Please don't shoot, I surrender." But then when he saw that it was a hat, well, for a moment he was speechless. And then he muttered these immortal words, and you can join in with this if you like. He muttered these immortal words, which were, "Thunder of Sebastopol." Now, I did spring that on you a bit, didn't I? Now, he does have...
And it's long.
It's quite long. It's quite long, isn't it? Yeah. So he does have a few
explanations. Hold it still so we can see it, darling.
I will hold it still in just a minute. I'm just going to... I'm just walking up to it. Right, there we go. I'm going to count to 3. And then we're going to all say together this thing here, okay? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thunder of Sebastopol.
And he saw this hat, and the hat, then it started wiggling around on his head, and then it kind of jumped off, and it sat next to him on the bench that he was sitting on, and he went, "Oh," he said, this hat is a crazy hat. It's a crazy, crazy hat." And then the hat jiggled around, did a little bit more of a dance, and then it settled itself once more on the top of his bald head. And he quite liked the hat. It felt quite nice on his head. And he decided to take a walk, and he was just walking down the street when a young lady who lived 4 stories up opened up the shutters of her window. And as she did so, she knocked over a heavy clay plant pot, and the plant pot started to fall down towards the ground, just as a rather rich-looking tourist was walking underneath. And then all of a sudden, the hat, that top hat, it jumped off of Benito's head, and it flew through the air, and it caught the plant pot before it landed on the head of the rich tourist. And then Benito, he took the hat, he took the plant pot out, and he put it down next to him like this. And the rich tourist, he walked up to Benito, he said, "Oh, worthy dragoon," he said, "you have saved my life." And then he reached into his deep, deep pockets, and he took out some coins, and he took out some notes, took out a pocket watch, and he put those into the hat of Benito Badoglio. Wow, he was beginning to rather like this hat. And he walked on his way with a bit of a spring in his step. But I tell you what, something I forgot to mention was that Benito Badoglio did, in fact, have a peg leg. About that later. So he kind of skipped and hobbled along. and he's wandering along, and then all of a sudden he notices that just outside the National Zoo they were putting up a poster that said, "Lost, the tiny purple puffbird." Has anybody ever seen a tiny purple puffbird? Anybody? Have a show of hands for anyone that's ever seen a tiny purple puffbird? You seen one? No. Tiny purple puffbird?
No, I haven't.
They're very, very small, and they're very, very rare. And they did, in fact, have one in the National Zoo, and it was part of a very special breeding program. They were keeping this tiny purple puffbird, and they were waiting to find it a mate. But now it had flown away, and now there was a And now there was a reward, 1,000 millicentos for anybody that can find the tiny purple puffbird and bring it back safely. So Patoglio looked around and then he noticed that there was a crowd of people and they were all standing at the base of this statue of the Athena Aviatrix. And there, on top of her head, was the tiny purple puffbird. Now, Benito Patoglio, he knew what to do. He said, "Hat, hat, go fetch the birdie." And the hat flew off of his head. And it swung. I don't know where I was going with that. Well, I was going to go with swooping and soaring, and I ended up with swunging. It swung like that up into the sky. And it went all the way to the top of the statue, and it gently scooped up the tiny purple puffbird and brought it gently back, and then it landed on top of Benito Patoglio's head. And then he went to the owner of the zoo, and oh, well, you could imagine how happy he was when he presented him with this precious bird. And then he filled the hat with 1,000 millicentos. Benito Patoglio, who only an hour before had been a completely penniless war veteran, now was a rich man. And he looked down at the clothes that he was wearing, and he looked at that very fine, smart satin hat with a sash on it, and he thought, oh, I need to have some clothes that are more befitting of a man who is as wealthy as me. And so he went to the tailor's and he had some clothes made, especially his first tailored clothes he'd ever had in his life, this suit that fitted like a glove, a lovely, lovely cotton shirt, a little nice cravat there, and he even had a little silver wheel fitted to the bottom of his peg leg. So now, when he was strolling down the street, he wasn't strolling and limping, he was strolling and he was rolling. Oh yeah. And that was Tommy Youngger's words, not mine. I can't take credit for that. The strolling and the rolling. It's rather lovely though, isn't it? And he's strolling and rolling along, and then all of a sudden he hears gunfire and he smells gun smoke. And so he said, after 3, 1, 2, 3. He exclaimed. And suddenly the old soldier in him kicked in and he wanted to see what was going on. And he walked along, he rolled and he strolled a little bit further until he came to a wall. And there were the police and there was the army, and they were all lined up and they had their cannons and they were all facing towards a tiny farmhouse. Well, it just turned out that Benito Patoglio, he knew the captain, and he went up to him to find out what was going on. And he said, "We've managed to find out the hideout of a gang of terrible cutthroats, and we've cornered them in here, and I'm sure a bit of this cannon fire will soon sharpen their minds and bring them out." Benito said, "Look, if you will permit me, I think maybe I have a plan that I can flush these cutthroats out of their hideout, and I will spare the lives of all of them." And the captain said, "Oh, very well." And so Benito said, "Hat, hat, go to the chimney." And the hat flew off his head and it flew through the air and it landed on the chimney. And before long, a white flag appeared at the window. And then the cutthroats came spluttering and coughing out of the door. And the army and the police, they were taken away by them. Benito Patoglio put his hat back on his head. He was really starting to feel like quite the local hero now. And the next morning, as he was sitting down drinking his coffee in one of those very, very posh cafes that he'd never been able to afford to eat at or drink at before, he was just reading the newspaper when suddenly he glanced across and he saw a handsome young cadet who was sharing a little bit of gossip with a young mother who had her pram next to her. And the young cadet, he was smoking a great big fat cigar. And he was letting the ash drop into the pram. Can you imagine? Oh, I know, it's shocking behaviour, isn't it? Shocking behaviour. Well, the next moment, there came a spark off of the cigar. It fell into the pram, and suddenly the pram is on fire. And the mother, my goodness me, goodness knows what was going on with her instincts. Instead of scooping up the baby as she should have done, she went, fire, and she let go of the pram. And the pram started to roll down the hill. And Benito Battaglio, he saw this, and he exclaimed out loud after 3, 1, 2, 3. And he said, hat, water now. And the hat jumped off of his head, and it went to the nearest fountain, and it filled itself up with water. And then Benito Battaglio, he ran and he wheeled down the hill, and he managed to catch the pram, and the water fell from the hat, and it quenched the fire just in time to save the baby. And just as he was about to receive his praise for being such a hero in this town, suddenly there came more chaos. A horse came rushing by. It had been stung on the bum by a hornet. It had already run amok through the market, and there were people lying here, and fruit and veg and meat and cheese and bread everywhere, and broken pots. And the Countess d'Aspodisco was in an open-top carriage, and her horse was out of control. She said, help me. And Benito Battaglio's hat flew off of his head, and it flew through the air, and it landed on the face of the horse. The horse could see nothing, and it stopped the horse in his tracks. Oh, the Contessa, she was so overwhelmed that she fainted in the arms of Benito Battaglio. And when she finally came round, she went, oh, my hero. She said, you must come and meet my brother-in-law, the Archduke. And so the next day, Benito Battaglio was taken before the Archduke. And the Archduke wasted no time in making him a decorated man. And when I say a decorated man, I don't mean that he got his paint roller out on the wallpaper. I mean, he was absolutely covered with medals. And he was given the title of Minister for National Emergencies.
Uh-oh.
Oh, but that wasn't all. Oh, no, this was a good day for Benito Battaglio, because, you see, the Contessa, she had a little bit of a sweet spot for him now, and he had a bit of a sweet spot for her. And so he went to the florist and he bought her 10 dozen red roses, and he took them to her and he serenaded her at her window. And as he sang to her, he fell more and more in love. And as she heard his singing and she smelled the smell of the roses, and she fell more in love with him. And before long, they were married. And everybody in the town, they came to celebrate this great joyous occasion. Benito Battaglio and his beautiful wife, they danced together in the moonlight. Her on her dainty little feet, him on his one foot in his little shiny wheel. Oh, you should see how they spun around the dance floor together. Happy occasion it was. I'm not doing this. This is Althea doing that. And then at the end of the evening, they got into their carriage, and they went off to start their honeymoon in Sardinia. And as they flew along the road, along came the wind, and the wind lifted Benito Battaglio's hat off of his head. And his wife said, don't worry about it, caro mio, which means my dear, my darling. She said, I want to get to our honeymoon before the sunrise. And so the hat was lifted up by the wind. The wind blew and the hat flew, and it landed, who knows where, maybe, might land on your head. Wouldn't that be good fortune? And that is the end of my tale. Thank you very much.
Wow!
Actually, I think I know exactly where the hat landed. It landed just next to your name on the site. and to have good fortune, people need to put a coin or two into it. And so yes.
Yes.
So
Did you
go
notice?
to the site, find Sue's name, and find the little hat next to it, and bring Sue some good fortune, because this has been a brilliant evening.
It will be shared 3 ways between the 3 of us. So anything that goes in the hat will be shared between Mark and myself and Althea for some extra pocket money. So did you notice the bit of subliminal work that I did? You know, we do this thing about like stories, you know, they really stick. And you know how I had a couple of moments where there was money going in the hat.
Yes, yes.
A bit of subliminal going. So yeah, do feel, and you know, for anybody who is relatively new to the World Storytelling Cafe, then you know, go and visit the site, because there's just, you know, amazing stories, and there's live stories and pre-recorded stuff, storytellers from all around the world, keeping storytelling going. And thank you John, and thank you Sarah, thank you for Bianca and everybody, and Mike and Lucy, everybody that's making this amazing project happen. And I look forward to sort of sitting around a fire with you all for real one day and sharing some.
So before we head off, oh, sorry, John. Before we head off, for anybody who doesn't know about the hat feature on the website, you can find a virtual hat for storytelling contributions during these lockdown times, and it is on the website, right next to Sue's name, but also next to this story. And if you click on it, it leads to PayPal. And if you've got £1 or $1 that might be spare, then please drop it into the hat. Before we go, I know that Barbara's been trying to get into a story for a few weeks, and she'd really love to say hi to everybody. So over to Barbara.
Hi. So, hello, darlings. I come from New York, and I was born in a handbag that was left in the subway, and these nice 2 people adopted me, and my Aunt Dorothy, who's a really big snob, took me to the opera, and she said, "Ooh, we can't have you like this. You must become much more sophisticated." So it was the magic flute, and she told the flutist in the audience, no, in the pit of the orchestra, she said, "You have to get a hat that will make you and my niece just more sophisticated." So the magic flute played, and a hat went all the way from the pit through the air in the Metropolitan Opera House in New York, and here it was. And so she said, "Ooh, now you can go to lunch with all the fancy people I would like you to meet." And I spoke up and I said, "Hello, darling. I don't know what this hat is supposed to do, but I got this accent because of Catastrophic Hearing Loss magazine said that this accent was the most sophisticated thing I can do." And she was horrified. And I tried to eat lunch, but I ate too much salad. You know how the lettuce like goes into your mouth and then the oil gets all on your face? And so she died. That's my story. She couldn't take it. She didn't know what to do. She did everything. And then the hat went magically up from the pit of the Met Opera Orchestra to our box. And it didn't work. I'm still the same Goyle. So happy, everybody. And thank you very much for listening to my story.
Love you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Back to you, Sue.
Oh, brilliant. Great. I don't know if I've got anything else to say, really.
Okay, so thanks to everybody for
Well,
coming
can
along
can
today.
I do a little bit about what's coming up?
John's gonna
Well,
sell you some more wonderful
while you're all here,
experiences.
never miss an opportunity. We got loads of live stuff coming up. We got Pauline Corden on Friday with live children's stories. Be brilliant. We got Mike Rust, who's really one of the greatest folklorists and collectors in the country, coming on live on Saturday night. On Sunday night, we've got Paranan from live from India. She's staying up specially late so she can come up. And then on Monday, while we couldn't have an open air at all, I thought we'd have a mela. And so I've got some Indian storytellers and poets and singers, and we've got that live on Monday. And we've got people from India, and we've also got people from Norfolk. Got Samir from Norfolk is coming on to do a song for us. Loads of you will be familiar with Samir. So we'd love to see you back, and bring some friends. Bring friends. I think that's the important thing. We should always bring friends. Mike brings friends. He's built a special bring friends bit in his garden. They do sporty things. So bring some friends, and we'd love to see you back. Sue, that's been gorgeous. Sarah, that's been marvellous arranging this. Thank you.
And Mark and Althea.
Thanks, Bianca, for keeping us all almost under control. You did a wonderful job. See you all back here another day. Love you all.
Love you. Bye.